Greek fire was an incendiary chemical weapon manufactured in and used by the Eastern Roman Empire from the 7th through the 14th centuries. The recipe for Greek fire was a closely guarded state secret. Historians have variously speculated that it was based on saltpeter, sulfur, or quicklime, though most modern scholars agree that it was based on petroleum mixed with resins, comparable in composition to modern napalm. Byzantine sailors would toss grenades loaded with Greek fire onto enemy ships or spray it from tubes. Its ability to burn on water made it an effective and destructive naval incendiary weapon, and rival powers tried unsuccessfully to copy the material. Incendiary and flaming weapons were used in warfare for centuries before Greek fire was invented. They included a number of sulfur, petroleum, and bitumen-based mixtures. Incendiary arrows and pots or small pouches containing combustible substances surrounded by caltrops or spikes or launched by catapults were used as early as the 9th century BC by the Assyrians and were extensively used in the Greco-Roman world as well. Furthermore, Thucydides mentions that in the siege of Delium in 424 BC, a long tube on wheels was used which blew flames forward using a large bellows dot. The Greco-Roman treatise Kestoi, compiled in the late 2nd or early 3rd century AD, and traditionally, but not conclusively ascribed to Julius Africanus, records a mixture that ignited from adequate heat and intense sunlight, used in grenades or night attacks. In naval warfare, the Byzantine Emperor Anastasius is recorded by chronicler John Malalas to have been advised by a philosopher from Athens called Proclus to use sulfur to burn the ships of the rebel general Vitalian. Greek fire proper, however, was developed in 672 and is ascribed by the chronicler Theophanes the Confessor to Callinicos, Latinized Callinicus, a Jewish architect from Heliopolis in Syria, by then overrun by the Muslim conquests. The accuracy and exact chronology of this account is open to question. Elsewhere, Theophanes reports the use of fire-carrying ships equipped with nozzles by the Byzantines a couple of years before the supposed arrival of Callinicos at Constantinople. If this is not due to chronological confusion of the events of the siege, it may suggest that Callinicos merely introduced an improved version of an established weapon. The historian James Partington further thinks it likely that Greek fire was not in fact the creation of any single person but invented by chemists in Constantinople, who had inherited the discoveries of the Alexandrian chemical school. Indeed, the 11th century chronicler George Kadrenos records that Callinicos came from Heliopolis in Egypt, but most scholars reject this as an error. Kadrenos also records the story, considered rather implausible by modern scholars, that Callinicos's descendants, a family called Lampros, brilliant, kept the secret of the fire's manufacture and continued doing so to Kadrenos's time. The importance placed on Greek fire during the empire's struggle against the Arabs would lead to its discovery being ascribed to divine intervention. The emperor Constantine Porphyrogenetos in his book De Administrando Imperio admonishes his son and heir, Romanos II, to never reveal the secrets of its composition, as it was shown and revealed by an angel to the great and holy first Christian emperor Constantine, and that the angel bound him not to prepare this fire but for Christians and only in the imperial city. As a warning, he adds that one official, who was bribed into handing some of it over to the empire's enemies, was struck down by a flame from heaven as he was about to enter a church. As the latter incident demonstrates, the Byzantines could not avoid capture of their precious secret weapon. The Arabs captured at least one fire ship intact in 827, and the Bulgars captured several siphons and much of the substance itself in 812. This, however, was apparently not enough to allow their enemies to copy it. The Arabs, for instance, employed a variety of incendiary substances similar to the Byzantine weapon, but they were never able to copy the Byzantine method of deployment by siphon, and used catapults and grenades instead. Although the destructiveness of Greek fire is indisputable, it did not make the Byzantine navy invincible. It was not, in the words of naval historian John Pryor, a ship killer, comparable to the naval ram, which by then had fallen out of use. While Greek fire remained a potent weapon, its limitations were significant when compared to more traditional forms of artillery in its siphon-deployed version. It had a limited range. and it could be used safely only in a calm sea and with favorable wind conditions. Nevertheless, it was still a decisive weapon in many battles. John Julius Norwich wrote, "It is impossible to exaggerate the importance of Greek fire in Byzantine history.